Episode 3 of Season 2 of Invincible, there has got to be a better way to do these intros, perfectly balances the themes of being horrifically traumatized and desperately horny. Got your attention? Good. Because this one's gonna be a doozy. Debbie's dropping Mark off at college, and it's clear this is much harder on her than it is on Mark. The cute irony of a child comforting their parent before being let loose on the world isn't lost, and you really do feel for her. For Mark, his future is just beginning, but for Debbie, this is the last piece of her home walking right out of her life. Mark is rooming with William, which for some reason I didn't see coming, but is welcome nonetheless. William is an incredibly fun side character, and details like the dorm room being split, one side meticulously organized and the other furbished like drunk Stevie Wonder was in charge of decor is a fun detail. Not much happens here just yet. William explains to Mark how sex works, and then Mark goes to see Amber for confirmation of what he learned. You guys remember Alan the alien? Well, this is secretly his episode in disguise. We get a flashback of the origins of his planet previously only hinted at. We see its growth and flourishing, followed by the subsequent Viltrumite takeover and genocide. A few Ellens escaped though, creating a breeding camp specializing in designer babies. They're breeding weapons. Or trying to at least. Turns out the only successful rendition of this project is Alan the alien, who still gets his ass whipped by any Viltrumite he comes across. Womp womp. Now, all this is great, fun world building and whatnot, and essential if we're going to give a solitary stick shift about Alan's soon to come demise. However, the entire sequence is animated like a slideshow on Microsoft PowerPoint. And this time, I'm not being hyperbolic, it is quite literally still frames. Except for some inexplicable reason when the characters talk within the flashback. In that case, the environment and body is still PowerPoint, but the mouth moves normally, creating this insane dissonance which came across just as confusing as it was comical. Alan then gets his own title card, which was pretty great. See what I mean? It's his episode. Mark is just a guest appearance. Fast forwarding to present day though, Alan is reporting to the Jedi Council on what he found. A Viltrumite that doesn't kill people. This is big news. Optimus Prime is obviously evil, huh? Sometime later, Alan is chilling, eating his lunchworms when some vegan protesters pull up and absolutely rock his ship. The shock is effective, and faced with 3 Viltrumites, we know there's no getting out of this one for our boy Alan. He is absolutely brutalized by the most diverse group of fascists I've ever seen, in front of his girlfriend no less. But the absolute unit survives this. Something I noticed in this fight is the effect they use for space to make sound more interesting. Literally all it is just a low pass filter from Premiere. As an example, if I wanted to sound like I was in space in the Invincible show, all I would have to do is this. How does it sound? Pretty convincing, right? Yeah, I'm onto you, you mother... Also this. Yeah, that checks out. You guys think Ellen is actually dead? Hard to say. Having another fake out death after 2 attempted murders in a row would be weird, but I wouldn't be surprised either. Despite the fact that Ellen is barely a character in this show, more of a funny Seth Rogen personality, the defeat makes you feel something. Its purpose being to show the audience that Mark and Nolan got the Viltrumite Empire's attention, and they are pissed. Re-entering orbit though, let's check in on the Guardians. I didn't mention last time, but Kate is wrestling Abraham Lincoln in a leotard, and it's just as weird as it sounds. Episode 3 confronts this head on, with Rex calling her out on this Rule 34 ass behavior. The justification she gives is that both her and the Immortal share the trauma of dying frequently, which sounds reasonable enough on paper. Okay, couple things. First of all, Kate's powers have had no explanation whatsoever up to this point. We don't know if her duplicates are clones, if they are just physical bodies that she controls with her mind, if they are splits of her consciousness as well as her body, nothing. No explanation. Her implication here is that she experiences every death as if it was her own, but at the same time, we have seen her throughout the series prioritize her own life over that of her duplicates, putting them in harm's way deliberately to save herself. I'm reading into this way too much. Hold on, let me test something. Yep, it's weird. But that's not all the creepy relationships to cover in this episode, because Robot is asking Monster Girl on a date. Somebody kill me. Alright, so the date itself is pretty tame. These 2 characters have strong chemistry, and watching them develop as friends is very enjoyable. Robot's fish out of water moments trying to be a regular quote-unquote kid are charming, and Monster Girl's exaggerated swagger of an adult woman trapped inside the body of a 10-year-old girl who can transform into Shrek makes for some classic buddy cop moments. Last season, Robot promised Monster Girl that he would cure her of the curse that causes her to get younger over time instead of older. Robot also transferred his consciousness into the body of a child similarly aged, presumably so that once he cures her, they can age at the same time, making his romantic feelings appear normal for bystanders. Here's the issue though. Ignoring for a second the creepy nature of Robot having feelings for her at all, FBI, open up! If Monster Girl, an adult woman, was to then reciprocate the feelings for this child clone body that Robot inhabits, it would be even weirder. The fact that no one has brought this up is kind of mind-boggling to me. For the love of Omni-Man, please just be unreciprocated affection for the time being. Last on the agenda for episode 3 is Mark going to space. A random bug shows up in his dorm, and despite Sunblock's warnings, Mark goes with the stranger, promising to help the people supposedly in peril waiting for him in another galaxy. I like the trend of Mark going on an interplanetary adventure once a season. Last time we had Mars, now we have Bug World. The moment the ship lands on the alien world, Mark inquires about the apparent lack of apocalypse, which the bug dismisses as dementia of all things. At this point, alarm bells should be going off in the viewer and Mark's head, but for some reason our hero looks completely unfazed at what turned out to be a kidnapping that trekked him 6 days across the stars, founded on a lie. Would Mark even know how to get home from here if he needed to? He slept on the car ride over, so I'm gonna wager no. What Mark finds, of course, is Omni-Man. Nolan has clearly branded himself a king of sorts over Bugworld and is remarkably more smiley than last time we saw him. There's not much to gauge here, but working off speculation, I don't think Omni-Man brought Mark here for a rematch. He will either be looking for reconciliation, which is unlikely, or he wants to warn Mark that Viltrum is coming for them, perhaps removing Mark from Earth in order to protect him from the imminent invasion. Either way, this was another strong episode. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.